Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Add it
Hey
up.
everybody, welcome to another episode of the Snajby Show. I am Snajby, and I want to start by telling you that when we are in different states of emotions, we carry that with some frequencies. And I want to start by sharing a little bit of a story of how that came up for me, how that's come up for some people that I've worked with and things like that. Because a lot of the time, what we don't realize is that, let's say you're around a happy person and this person is just carrying with them this really good vibe. You know, you can feel their positivity, you can feel their level of enthusiasm, their energy. And what that is that is someone that's carrying a more positive, energy, like a positive frequency. Let's call it like that. And so most of the time, people understand that I did go through a very, very rough time on 3 separate occasions. And I remember the very last occasion, that was probably the worst, where I was sitting in a very, very deep and dark place. And I want to share this with you because there are different levels of consciousness. So what that means is that when you are conscious, you're kind of sitting in different levels of energy. And they come up as emotions, right? We're talking about things like when we feel loved, when we feel acceptance, when we feel shame, when we feel guilt, whatever it is that you feel will come up as a frequency, as an energy. And this kind of goes into this concept as well with 5 different human needs. And what most people don't realize is that the 5 different needs for someone kind of sit in very basic level stuff. So what I'm kind of saying here is, like, you think about like your psychological needs, right? Your things like your air, your water, your food, clothing, things like that. And you move into something more like safety, which is like your job, where you live, very personal security type of stuff. And then from there, you go into love and belonging. And that's like your relationships with people, your family, your sense of connections, things like that. And you go into esteem, and that is going to be second from the top. And that's going to be like your self-esteem, right? How you think about yourself, your strengths, your freedom, things like that. And then you're going to go into the very last, which is the highest of the hierarchy. Let's look at like that. And if you haven't had a look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that's essentially what I'm explaining. And that is basically self-actualization. So it's basically like the desire that you have to be your ultimate self. Now, how does this play a role into emotions? Well, every single one of those carries with it essentially an emotion, right? When we're in the physical needs, we're at the very bottom. We kind of require some things that are very basic level. And I share that with you because a lot of the time, to be honest with you, most people don't realize how incredibly important it is to understand the emotions that we're in so that we can better attack what we need to do. And I share that with you because when I was in my deepest, darkest place, I was in that very base level, right? All I really kind of knew about was understanding that I needed water and food and clothing, and I understood that I kind of needed a job, but I lacked a lot of the other stuff. And when you are lacking the needs of a human, you start to feel kind of empty. So you need to have all these, but they all build upon themselves. What we don't realize is that when we build the needs base by base, we can then get to our highest level. So what that means is that if you're in a bad place, if you're lacking your self-worth, if you're lacking confidence, if you're lacking strength, then you need to build brick upon brick. What that means is that you need to build the confidence in a way that's going to balance out, and it's going to kind of combat. It's going to build upon itself. Because what happens is that we're in the very base level, right? We're in a place where we're not really taking action. We're not really doing anything with ourselves. And the problem with that is that it carries with it some pretty negative, very negative, in fact, emotions. Things like shame, things like guilt, like fear, like doubt, negative. It's all negative. That's where I lived. I lived in a state where I was constantly basically not taking action, feeling like shit about myself, and I guess hoping that it would change. And things don't happen by just continuing what you're doing. If what you're doing is not leading you to a better place, you have to shift. You have to pivot. You have to change directions, and as fast and as aggressive as possible. So when I say about this, like these negative emotions, think about the force that is attached to these negative emotions. They're very hard to break, and you feel like everything's just weighing you down. When you're in a place of negative, you are basically under a lot of force, and force is something that is very hard to break, because then you are constantly fighting against what is bringing you down. This is why you need to change. So when you go from this inaction into taking some action, which is what I did. What happened to me was I was on my very last thread. Essentially, I'd hit that enough is enough point. I was struggling. I was down. I was out. I was treating people poorly. I was treating myself poorly. I was doing everything that was going to lead me to a bad place. So what I did is I made the call and I said, I need help. I got a therapist. I started working with a therapist. I started taking care of my body better. I started taking care of my relationships better. I started pouring into what mattered, which was way beyond just the very basic needs. Because ultimately what I needed the connection with myself. And when you can connect solely with yourself, you can really showcase a more genuine and authentic version of you. But if you can't connect with yourself, you're kind of faking it, and a lot of people do. A lot of the time we see people that pretend to be real, but aren't real. And you can smell someone that is fake or inauthentic from a mile away. All you need to do is just kind of scan them and you can pinpoint that they're full of shit. And it's unfortunate, but there are a lot of people that are just full of shit. And that's the world that we can live in, but we can change that. We can change that by being authentic ourselves, encouraging others to be authentic, because most of the time people aren't authentic because they feel like they are not good enough. Now, when you feel good enough, you show a very real side of you. You show a real aspect of what you're all about because you have confidence. You're confident in who you are. You're confident in what you're all about, and you love it. When we love ourselves truly, when we truly love ourselves, we show ourselves. If you don't love yourselves, you show someone different. That's the reality. And if you don't want to do that, then you have to understand how to connect with your inner self, understand the value of your inner self, and then showcase that. You have to build that brick by brick, step by step. So as we have explained, or as I've explained the 5 needs, these needs carry with them some emotions. These emotions carry with them some energies or frequencies, vibes, however you want to look at it. Now we go from the lowest frequency to the highest frequency. Typically it starts at about 0, goes up to 700 plus. And if you look at the levels of consciousness or the frequency chart, you can actually find this. You can look up David Hawkins. He puts this out there as the map of consciousness. And what you'll find is that it goes all the way down from shame all the way up to enlightenment or self-actualization, depending on how you want to look at it. And to be honest with you, most of the time, what people don't realize is that we don't even live nowhere near the top. Most people honestly live in probably a place where they're either angry, maybe pride, maybe a bit of neutrality. Like that is basically in the middle, like smack bang in the middle, about a 300. And it's unfortunate because a lot of the time when you're living there, it's easier to drop down than it is to rise up. How do you rise up? You do some personal development. And I'll explain that towards the end of this. What are going to be the ways that you can actually increase your level of consciousness? I'm going to explain that. I'm going to break that down for you. So what are around the top? So where we have these negative emotions that create force, we have these positive emotions that create power. Some emotions can easily increase your vibe. right? So we're thinking about like love and joy and peace and willingness and courage. These are what is going to increase your power. And when you have more power, you have more impact. If you want more power in life, if you want more impact in life, then create the emotions that dictate those feelings, dictate that impact. What that's going to look like is going to be creating more love, creating more joy, creating more peace. These are the emotions that are attached to power. People want to be in a position of power, but they keep giving all of these force that is directly connected towards negativity. So that's what's going to happen. And I share this with you because when I was negative, all I did was force more negativity. When I was positive, I created more power. That's why it's called empowerment. So it really does make a massive difference on which end of the spectrum you're living on. So I've hit this place 3 times. I've shared that several times. I've hit rock bottom on 3 different occasions, and every occasion was different, but every occasion was worse, one after the other after the other. It was only on the 3rd one that I really recognized that I was living in a massive place of just shame and guilt. And that's like the base of the frequency chart. That's like the worst you can get, the lowest fall. And unless you're willing to change, then nothing changes. And so a lot of the time we kind of don't understand the value of change. And people don't want to change because they feel like they're going to be letting go or losing. But the thing is with change is that it creates a whole new version of yourself. And when you are willing to let go of your old version and step into your new version, you're going to be a much better person. Not everyone's going to come with you. So here's the I guess the unfortunate truth is that when you are walking a path of personal development, of self-growth, you're going to have people that walk with you, and then you're going to have people that just watch you. The ones that walk with you want to be there, and they get your time. The ones that don't will not get your time, and they'll wait in line. That's the reality that you have to understand. It's okay that not everyone comes with you because at some point in life, maybe they will. Maybe they're just not ready. You can't force someone to sit at a table and eat with you. They have to be ready to sit and take whatever is served. Not everyone deserves that. And that's very difficult because sometimes you think that you have all these supporters, you have all these people that are willing to listen to you, to support you, to clap for you. And then once you're at that point where you are putting yourself out there, you are trying, you hear no noise. You don't hear any claps. And unfortunately, when we want the claps from certain people and we don't get them, we get pretty upset about it. So I share this with you because when you understand the basic needs for yourself, when you understand the levels of consciousness and the frequencies that come with the emotions that match those needs, you start to understand the value of them. So living in a place that is constantly filled with negative emotions is just going to create more force, and force is not power. When you create more positive emotions, you're going to create less force and more power. And the more power you create, the more impact you can make. So live with that. Be about that, because that is going to be what changes you as a human being, but also changes your world. And don't you want that, right? We all want a better world. We all want it, but we don't want to be it. When we actively take responsibility for who we are and how we are, we can make some pretty big waves. We can make and take a very substantial position in life where we can literally make life better. So sometimes you got to wait till you hit that point, right? Where you're enough is enough and you've just hit like rock bottom. And that's the unfortunate truth that some people do wait for that point. But I'm encouraging you to not. I'm encouraging you to take control of your life, take hold of your life, of who you are. Look at your weaknesses. Just pinpoint your weaknesses. If your weakness is that you're inconsistent, start to become more consistent. Pick one area of your life that you can be more consistent at. If your weakness is that you're reactive about a certain topic, practice being more responsive about that topic. And if your weakness is maybe that you're unreliable, pick one area that you truly think that you could become reliable in and work on that. It's about practicing. So the more that you can train your weaknesses, the more you're going to turn those into strengths. And the more that you utilize your strengths to hop on, right, you're going to make them even better. That's how you become better and better. And as you stack those wins, as you become better and more reliable, more consistent and stronger, you're going to move from all those negative emotions to a more positive emotion where you are willing, you have reason, you have love, you have joy, you have acceptance of yourself because you know what you're all about. So I'm going to encourage you now. Pick an area of your life and pinpoint that area hard. Do not be soft about it. Do not be easy about it. Pick an area of your life that you truly want to change and change it. Do something about it. Don't wait for everyone to tell you why you suck. Do something about the area of your life that you know that you could improve on. Because at some point, people around you, in fact, will hit an enough is enough point where you are so sick of not changing. You are so sick of the same thing happening over and over again. And the reason why it happens over and over again is because it is teaching you something. All lessons happen over and over until you are listening to the lesson. When you listen to the lesson, you change the trajectory. If you don't listen to the lesson, guess what? It'll keep coming up. Someone that requires patience in life will constantly be tested with patience. Someone that requires strength in life, they'll constantly be tested to create strength. It depends on what it is. So the only way that you are going to change is if you start listening to the lessons that are showing up for you, because they're doing that for a reason. The universe will always deliver. It's up to you to actually listen. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. I really hope that you can pinpoint that, right? You harness that and utilize that. And if there's anything that I can do to help you with that, please reach out to me because I love helping people. I love helping people find their purpose. I love helping people get to their highest self. Because when you do get to your highest self, honestly, life is just so much better. You just feel so free. You feel free. When you are at your ultimate level, the ultimate version of you feels so free, so strong, and so unlimited that nothing and no one can stop you. But the only way you're going to reach that level is if you dedicate more time, more effort, and more energy to creating that version. You have to create the version. There's no other choice. And if there is any other choice, I guarantee it's not the better one. So please share that. Please share this. Subscribe to the channel. Share it with your friends. The more that I can help you, the more you can help others. So look at it like that. We are in a world where we are gifted, right? We're gifted with the opportunity to inspire people. We're gifted with the opportunity to impact this world. And it doesn't matter if you don't feel like you're good enough to do that. You 100% are. You just have to start believing in it. So I hope that helps you guys. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Please subscribe. Please share. And I will see you guys in the next one.
Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up, I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh, you matter what.